If you're relying on willpower to overcome your sugar cravings, I hate to break it to you, but it's not going to work. Hey, it's Kara and welcome back to my channel. I work with women to help them lose weight and decrease inflammation in a sustainable way. That means no dieting, counting calories, or needing prepackaged products. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to overcome your sugar cravings for good without feeling deprived. If you want to look and feel your best without feeling deprived or relying on dieting but haven't subscribed already, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to be notified each time I put out a new video. Have you ever tried overcoming your sugar addiction only to fall off the wagon as soon as you see your favorite dessert? See, most people will tell you that you just need to be more disciplined, say no, swear off sugar completely, fight the good fight against evil sugar. And what does that look like exactly? For a lot of people, that means removing all the sweets from the house, purging the pantry, cleaning out the fridge. Heck, you might even go so far as clean out the secret stash you have hidden in the storage room. Because after all, you can't be tempted by sweets if they aren't in your house, right? But what happens next time you're at a wedding or a party and you see that delicious piece of cake staring at you? Or maybe it's a bowl of ice cream. You might be able to resist at first, but what happens when you can't walk away from the temptation? Self-discipline might get you to say no a couple of times, but what happens when the temptation is ongoing, like when you can't walk away from it? Overcoming a sugar addiction doesn't mean having a sugar-free pantry. Sure, that might help for just a little while, but there are always more temptations just around the corner. And so that is what I want to talk about today. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to truly overcome your sugar addiction. Hear me out though. This doesn't mean you're going sugar-free or have to swear off sugar. That won't actually work long term. But instead, I will show you how to get rid of your cravings, enjoy your sugar mindfully without any guilt, and overcome the power that sugar has on you. Let me share about Kelly, a Stuck to Thriving client of mine who was a self-proclaimed sugar addict who couldn't live without sweets in her life. Late morning, early afternoon, evening, if it was there, she had it. But she learned what I'm about to share with you, and now, today, she can literally leave her favorite dessert sitting in front of her and not be tempted. Or she can enjoy something mindfully without guilt or feeling like she now has to binge on it. In fact, this last winter, when so many people are stuffing their faces with every sweet or treat that they can imagine, she actually had to throw away a bag of Oreos that had been sitting on her counter for weeks because it had finally gotten old. Now, mind you, she had previously described herself as a sugar addict, and she never would have been able to resist that urge to snack on those delicious cookies before learning and implementing what I'm about to share with you. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, and no, I didn't hypnotize her or anything crazy like that. What I taught her didn't even require her to remove the temptations from her home, or even swear off sugar completely. Today, I'm going to give you the same tools to help you overcome your sugar cravings. They're tangible, practical, and will definitely break your sugar addiction if you put them into practice. But before we get into those, I want to highlight just a couple of ways people will often use to try and defeat their sugar cravings. They don't work because they don't get to the core of the problem, but they remain the most popular just because this is what everyone else is talking about. Have you ever tried to overcome a craving by simply trying to avoid it? This is a strategy where you purge the pantry and clean out the fridge like we talked about a moment ago. It can be a good start because your home should encourage what you're trying to accomplish. But when this is your only strategy, it doesn't work very well. Not only does it set you up for failure when you leave the safe zone of your house, but it can also cause you to end up obsessing over it even more. It's kind of like when you tell a child, or even an adult for that matter, not to do a certain thing, like don't touch the wet paint. What do they want to do? Touch the wet paint. It becomes all they can think about. There's actually a lot of research behind this phenomenon, and it's called the ironic process theory. It's the psychological process you experience when you try to deliberately suppress thoughts, but instead end up thinking about them even more. And this is why it's so difficult to try and will something out of your mind. And then we become a bit obsessive about it and crave it even more, making it even harder to resist. The other strategy people will often rely on to overcome sugar cravings is willpower. And yes, willpower is important. I'm not going to say you shouldn't neglect self-discipline and cave to every urge that enters your mind. That's not healthy either. But willpower alone doesn't work. Saying you're going to will yourself to say no to your cravings each time will undoubtedly lead to failure. So let's come up with a better solution, because the moment you feel deprived or your willpower starts to slip, it's game over. And that's when we start to overindulge, feel guilty, swear off sugar again, and rinse and repeat, creating this horrible cycle that only keeps you stuck. But before I do, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and notification bell to get notified each time I put out a new video to help you look and feel your best without feeling deprived or relying on dieting. Okay, so how do you overcome sugar cravings without feeling like you're constantly depriving yourself? Well, we need to take a step back first. Before I can answer that, you need to understand why you actually crave sugary foods to begin with. I always want to give you the why before I explain the how, so you really understand why it works. So why do we crave junk food? Well, the truth is these foods are designed to make you crave them. They trigger the reward centers in your brain, and that's why they're so satisfying and so addictive. There are actually 4 reasons you crave these foods. First of all, there's the high fat content. Foods rich in fat are hyper palatable, and that's why people are more likely to consume these types of foods in excess amounts. People who turn to food when they're stressed don't typically end up eating a bunch of fresh fruits and vegetables. Instead, they turn to foods that are high in fat. The next reason we crave sugar is because it's been engineered. Junk food is literally engineered for craving. Take America's favorite cookie, for example, the Oreo. The texture of the Oreo is the perfect combination of crunchy cookie and creamy center, causing you to crave more and more. The third reason we crave these foods is because of the artificial flavoring. I'm sure you've noticed how an apple-flavored food doesn't taste anything like an actual apple. That's because it's not actually an apple. Apples aren't addicting because they aren't loaded with excess sugar that triggers a dopamine hit, activating your brain's reward system. And lastly, of course, we have sugar. When we consume sugar, it releases opioids and dopamine in our bodies. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that is a key part of the reward circuit associated with addictive behavior. In fact, studies have shown it to be more addictive than cocaine. So now that you understand what you're working against, aka the reason you crave these sugary foods, let's talk about the 4 steps to overcoming your sugar addiction once and for all. These are 4 steps, but they all hinge on the first one. So step number 1 is to lower your taste thermostat. Your taste thermostat is a little like your home's thermostat. It's not good when it's turned up too high. Have you ever wondered how some people can eat so healthy and actually seem to enjoy it? You'll see them enjoying a piece of fruit like it's candy. It all has to do with something called the taste thermostat, and it needs to be reset in order for our brain and taste buds to enjoy more subtle flavors of fruits and vegetables. Your taste thermostat is what allows you to enjoy the perceived flavor of food, and when you lower it, you're able to notice and enjoy the flavors of fruits and vegetables and other whole foods. See, the typical Western diet consists of foods with artificial flavors. That's why our palate is used to exaggerated taste profiles. It's accustomed to flavors created for prepackaged foods rather than the natural ones found in whole foods. Thankfully, like the thermostat in your home, your taste thermostat can also be lowered. Not quite as quickly as tapping this thermostat a few times, but probably a lot faster than you think. Research shows that you can actually lower it within just a couple of weeks weeks by consuming more whole foods like veggies and fruits, whole grains, nuts, seeds, and legumes. When you do, you'll start noticing the more subtle flavors of these foods. You'll enjoy a fresh piece of fruit more than you ever have before. Now that you understand this first crucial step, let's get into the other 3 steps to overcome your sugar cravings. So the second one is to put a sign up in your pantry. And I literally mean it. Put a sign up in the pantry that says stop, or one that asks the question, are you truly hungry? So that it really causes you to just think and pause. This is really simple but powerful way to overcome cravings, because oftentimes we aren't even hungry when we head to the pantry for a treat. So often walking into the pantry just becomes a habit, something you do in the afternoon when you're bored or in the evening when you're watching TV. But having that visible sign up causes you to pause. It gives you a chance to assess if you're truly hungry. And if you are, then you can choose something healthier instead of a sugary snack. Having visual cues is a powerful way to stop unhealthy habits. The third step is to make the healthier option easier. Your environment either encourages or discourages your healthy habits. It's important that you create an environment that will reduce your need to rely on willpower. You can do this by placing healthy foods at eye level and at the front of the fridge, or even out on the counter like a bowl of fruit or a jar of nuts. Then go a step further and be sure to put the unhealthy options and treats in the back of the pantry or in the storage room, just somewhere less convenient. You'd be surprised at how putting something in the back of the fridge will cause you to eat less of it. Just that little inconvenience can have a big impact. The easier something is to grab, the more likely you will be to eat it. So by making the healthy choice easy, you're really setting yourself up for success and preventing yourself from having to rely on willpower. It's important to create the type of environment where the habits that you want to form will thrive. An environment that makes them obvious and easier to incorporate each day. The fourth step is to implement the if-then strategy. The if-then strategy is perfect for anticipating how you might be tempted to give in to excuses. It allows you to plan ahead. So if you are hungry or snacky, then you will have a plan in place. This will help you choose healthier options because you've already determined ahead of time what you will do instead of choosing something unhealthy in the moment. So practically speaking, you can plan this out and say, if I'm hungry while watching TV in the evening, then I will have an apple. You create a plan to keep you from failing. Anticipating what can go wrong is one of the best tools you can use to prevent you from giving in to the excuses that will arise and prevent you from reaching your goals. So the moral of the story is stop trying to overcome your cravings by just avoiding them. Willpower alone can only go so far. Temptations will always be there unless you put these strategies into action. But once you do, you will be able to overcome your cravings without feeling deprived. And if you liked this video, be sure to subscribe to my channel so you can catch my simple nutrition tips each week to help you reach your goals, maintain them, and build upon them.